Jacques Kallis.
What a fantastic shot from Jacques Kallis.
Oh, he's bowled it. What a great delivery.
The man who made perfection look effortless and turned batting into pure poetry. Over 13,000 test runs, 45 hundreds, an average of 55. And oh, by the way, 292 wickets too. He could bat like a wall, bowl like a machine, and feel like a magnet. You could drop him into any generation, any era, any condition, and he'd still average 50. His straight drives could hypnotize photographers, and his cover drives could make bowlers question life decisions. If cricket was a religion, Kallis was both the priest and the temple. But here's the twist. None of that greatness was visible at the start. In fact, early Kallis looked nothing like the legend we now know, because in 1997, he wasn't King Kallis. He was just a nervous 22-year-old trying not to get dropped. Before this famous test, Kallis was practically a mystery man. He had made his debut in 1995, but in his first 7 tests, he had scored just 118 runs at an average of 14. Yes, 14. Critics were sharpening their knives. Some said, he's too defensive. No flair, no spark. Others said, he's not cut out for test cricket. And honestly, it was hard to argue. By the time South Africa landed in Australia for the Boxing Day test in 1997, Kallis wasn't in anyone's plans. Not the fans, not the Aussies, maybe not even the selectors. But cricket, my friends, has a funny way of writing redemption stories in the most brutal settings. And there's no place more brutal than the Melbourne Cricket Ground, the MCG, with 70,000 Aussies waiting to see someone fail. This was the first test of the 1997-98 series. Australia won the toss and decided to bat first. And from there, things unfolded like a classic late 90s battle. Ricky Ponting scored a brilliant 105, guiding Australia to 309 in their first innings. Decent, but not huge. South Africa came out to reply, and instantly looked like they had been asked to climb Mount Everest without oxygen. They were bowled out for just 186. Shane Warne, with that smirk that said, "Good luck mate," took 3 wickets. Kasparov chipped in with 3 as well. And Megra just kept doing Megra things. And Kallis? He made just 15 before Megra sent him back. Another failure. Another reason for the critics to roll their eyes. You could almost hear them saying, "Told you so." But South Africa had one weapon. Alan Donald, the White Lightning. He tore through Australia's top order, leaving them reeling at 128 for 7. And for a moment, the Proteas dreamed. But then Paul Rifle, the bowler, not the batsman, decided to ruin the script. He made an unbeaten 79, the best score of his life. With the tail wagging like an excited puppy, Australia ended with 257. That meant South Africa needed 381 runs to win, or to survive 122 overs on a dying pitch against Megra, Vaughan, Kasparov, and Rifle. That's like being told, run through this minefield. You don't have to win, just don't die. The chase began, and it didn't take long for disaster to strike. Gary Kirsten, the one guy you could trust, was gone in just the 6th over, 1 for 1. And out walked a 22-year-old Jacques Kallis, average 14, 7 tests old, and now facing Megra, Vaughan, and a sea of Aussies who didn't even bother booing. Because why waste energy on someone they didn't think would last 10 minutes? But Kallis had other plans. Rifle greeted him with a bouncer, a sharp one. Kallis fended awkwardly. It ballooned for a second, and you could almost hear 70,000 Aussies gasp, waiting for the catch. It felt safe, and Kallis took a deep breath. That moment, that one lucky escape, was the calm before a storm called Kallis. Vaughan came on soon after, the king of mind games. On a 4th-day Melbourne pitch, Vaughan was usually a nightmare. The ball would turn, bounce, talk, and occasionally insult you on the way pass. But Kallis played him like a veteran, defended with soft hands, left cleverly, and punished anything short. By stumps on day 4, South Africa was 79 for 1, still needed 302 runs, but they had survived the day. Kallis was unbeaten, calm, unmoved, like a man who had made peace with chaos. Then came the 5th day, and the real battle. The pitch had deteriorated. Cracks, rough patches, unpredictable bounce. Vaughan's eyes gleamed like a kid at Christmas. Yet, Kallis didn't flinch. Early in the day, he quietly nudged Shane Warne for a single to bring up his second Test 50. No wild celebration, just a calm acknowledgement. After all, there was still a mountain to climb. And what followed was 6 hours of pure resistance. An innings that turned this boy into a man. The Australian closing fielders were at their absolute worst. They sledged him relentlessly. You had Healy chirping, Steve Waugh whispering, and Bourne talking non-stop. It was like being surrounded by a pack of wolves. Only Kallis didn't flinch, not once. McGrath tried the short ball. Kasparovich banged it in. Vaughan spun it miles. But Kallis stood there, calm as a monk, just defending, and occasionally driving through the covers like an artist. And talking about the drives, some of them were ridiculous. Picture perfect, straight bat, high elbow, the ball screaming through the covers. You could almost hear the MCG murmuring, "Hang on, who is this kid?" Australia for once didn't know what to do. Vaughan was getting nothing. McGrath looked frustrated, and Rifle, who had been the hero earlier, was running out of ideas. And then, late in the day, the moment arrived. Steve Waugh came on to bowl, and Kallis was ready. Waugh pitched one just short of a length, and Kallis cut it behind point. The ball raced away, and he raised his bat. The MCG, yes, the MCG, stood up. The same crowd that had mocked him earlier now gave him a standing ovation. 100, his maiden Test 100, in the 4th innings against Australia in Melbourne. It wasn't 100 filled with fireworks. It was built on guts, patience, and the kind of courage that doesn't shout, it just stays. Kallis batted for nearly 6 hours, faced 279 balls, and occupied the crease for 91 overs, more than anyone thought possible. He was eventually dismissed for 101, playing on to Paul Rifle. But by then, South Africa had done enough. They ended on 273 for 7, drawing the match, and saving it from what looked like certain defeat. The critics silenced, the Australians irritated, the world impressed. Even the great Shane Warne admitted, "That's the best 100 I've seen from such a young batsman." You see, this innings wasn't about the scoreline, it was about what it meant. A young player, written off by everyone, found himself cornered, and instead of grumbling, he fought back. From an average of 14 to ending his career with an average of 55, this was the turning point. This was where Kallis learned that greatness isn't gifted, it's earned. On dusty pitches, against the odds, with everyone waiting for you to fail. This innings was his announcement to the world, "I belong here." And from that point on, Jacques Kallis transformed into one of the greatest all-rounders the game has ever seen. 13,289 runs, 45 hundreds, 292 wickets, and it all began here, in Melbourne, December 1997. So guys, that's it for today's video. If you want to see how good was Jacques Kallis or Sean Pollock, click on the videos being displayed on your screen.